Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Hey, docs, welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. This is your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, and today I'm excited to bring Dr. Mark Sanna from Breakthrough Coaching. He's someone that I was first introduced to when I graduated in 2005 and worked for a clinic, and they were using that coaching program. And obviously Mark Sanna's done a lot over the years, a lot for the profession, a lot for practices, a lot for chiropractors. And I wanted to have him on to kind of look at what the last 25, 30 years have been like in the profession, things that are better now than they were, things that are more challenging now than they were, exciting things ahead. This is someone who's really had a pulse of the profession for the last few decades since the 90s, and it's always great to be able to get that context. A lot of you that are listening may be recent graduates, students, or graduating in the last 10 years, and maybe don't have all of the facts or details of what it was like before, how it was challenging. Again, I think a lot of times we kind of harken back to what we call the Mercedes 80s, which is a long time ago now, but I know when we were graduating, we talked about that. So I'm not sure if the younger crowd has a moniker for the 90s, but there's in a lot of ways, obviously insurance paid better and there were some positives, but there's a lot of positives now compared to then as well. And it's good to hear the full scope of our profession and how it has progressed, things that we still face as challenges, and what people are trying to do to overcome that and make it even better. And he is someone on the forefront of that. And so I was excited to have him on to dive into those topics, and he did not disappoint. So without further ado, here is my interview with Dr. Mark Sanna. All right. Excited to have Mark Sanna on the podcast today. It's a long time coming. Should have had him on a lot sooner. I've been seeing a lot of the work you've done over the years. I've graduated 20 years ago, and I'd love to hear a little bit about yourself personally and professionally.
Well, hey, first of all, thank you so much, Kevin, for having me on the podcast. 8 years and running. This is amazing. And it's quite a testament for what you've done. Back when you started, podcasts weren't even a thing.
I know, because no one was listening at first.
Just amazing. So kudos for that. A little bit of my background is I'm a chiropractic kid. My dad's a chiropractor. Grew up in a chiropractic family, so didn't have to discover chiropractic. It was always there for us. And I like to say that could be a good thing and not such a good thing. I can remember having mumps as a child, and my dad would get up every hour on the hour and adjust me through the night, and the mumps were gone in the morning. So I had to go to school. So I wasn't so thrilled about that. And, we ate so healthy and so clean that no one would trade lunches with us. You know how you'd go in and the kids would have ding dongs and hoo-hoos and all those kind of stuff that you wanted so badly. And we'd have like this fresh homemade bread and beautiful. We grew up in a great household. I literally grew up adjusting my dad and mom and the dogs and the cats. And dogs, as you know, are pretty easy. Cats, not so much. Dog will lay there and do it. A cat, maybe you can adjust once and then they get smart. No. So I began my practice up in the state of Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
It was a really interesting time of coming in to the profession. Certainly there were some great changes back then. We're going to talk a little bit about multidisciplinary practice and how that's kind of like a regular thing now. Back then was not such an easy thing, as chiropractors and medical doctors really didn't play very well together, talk about cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And so we hired this company called Breakthrough Coaching to manage our practice.
What year was that about?
My goodness, this was in probably the mid-90s.
Nice.
And it was an interesting approach The guy who owned the company was not a chiropractor. His wife was. He came from the publishing world, Columbia House Publishing. And he taught us about what's a profit and loss statement and how to run a profitable business. And back then, a lot of the coaching that was taking place was very mindset oriented, which is super important. You have to have the right mindset, but you also have to have the skills to run a business, right? So, but my dad used to say, Mark, you're in the business of healing, and without the business, you don't get the chance to do any healing. So I really was interested in that, kind of took to it very much. A few years after them coaching us, the guy who owned the company said, hey, would you like to be a coach? And I'm like, that's what I wanted to do my whole life, right? I'm one of the few people who you'll meet in life who knew from age 5 what I was going to do for the rest of my life, and that is to be a chiropractor. So I have always had that career path going through all the way. And so we had always great, I'm Italian. So when you have very close family friends, you call them auntie and uncle, right? So all my aunties and uncles were the great chiropractors of all time, Gonstead and all these folks who people kind of know their names now, Thompson, and those are folks I got to meet and know, and it was good, just kind of amazing background. So here I am coaching 75 practices in practicing full time. So I would coach literally, and this was before we had broadband, right? So you're talking about AOL, you have mail kind of a thing, and curly paper fax. Many of your listeners will have no idea what a fax machine is. Forget about one that had curly paper fax and come in and there'd be curled faxes all over the floor. And so I was really, really working hard. And he was making all the money. So I invited him out to lunch. His name was Brian. I said, Brian, we need to talk. He said, sure. What would you like to know? I said, I'd really like to have your job. I'd like to buy the company. He said, fantastic. I would love you to buy it.
Yeah.
So Kevin, back then, this is 1998, I went and borrowed $1 million. Now, back then, that was a chunk of change.
Yep.
And the lawyers are saying, what are you buying? There's no assets. There's no capital equipment. You're just buying intellectual property. And I remember telling the lawyer, I said, I'm buying my way out of Danbury, Connecticut. Which, God bless them. Danbury, Connecticut, small town that I grew up in. I like living in Miami, where I am right now, a little bit.
Yeah. Funny story is my mom's side of the family is from Danbury, Connecticut, from like the 1700s until the early 1900s. Yeah.
There you go. Same deal. That's really amazing. So we may have some relatives too.
Yeah. That's cool.
Very, very fun. And so I did buy the company. I remember I left the bank, Kevin, I walked across the street. There was a church. The front doors were open. I walked in, totally empty, sat down in the front pew and kneeled down. And I said, all right, Lord, you got me this far. Let's go all the way. And thank God now it's almost 30 years later, right? 28 years later. And we're going strong and growing, and a beautiful team of coaches that support our clients across the country. We have like 24 clients in Seoul, Korea. So think how amazing, right? How things can grow and develop over years and over time. But it's been a wonderful journey. I've loved every bit of it. And you probably always hear this. People say, there's never been a better time to be a chiropractor. Well, there's never been a better time to be a chiropractor than right now.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us to a segue. And thanks for giving us the context. I love hearing the origin stories of entrepreneurs and that risk, right? I think so many people are inherently risk adverse, and I get that, but I love hearing the big risks. And $1 million in 1998 $1 million now is still a lot, but $1 million then is a different animal. I don't know, maybe that's like $5 million now, but that was an awesome risk that you took, and it's obviously paid off. And so, over the 25 plus years of working with chiropractors, what are some of what's the evolution you've seen within chiropractic that makes you say, yeah, like it's never been better to be a chiropractor? But I would love to hear some of the really positives from there, maybe some of the struggles from back then, and then how that's progress. I know maybe insurance is worse now than it was then, but there's better things now versus that. I just like get a little broad dialogue around this last 25 plus years.
Sure, for sure. So, I've been really fortunate to serve on some great boards in chiropractic, some great organizations. One being the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress gives me a really cool insight into what's happening. And I'm going to share that we've just published a great new book called Adjusted Reality. If you don't know about that one, you'll want to check it out on Amazon. It's super, super cool. And the other is called the Chiropractic Future. And the Chiropractic Future is an organization that was developed because we realized as a profession, we didn't have a 5-year strategic plan. So what, company doesn't have a 5-year strategic plan? Certainly physical therapists and the AMA has amazing, maybe more than 5-year plans. And so we got together, we literally polled thousands of chiropractors to see what the top issues were, top areas of interest were that they felt that we should be directing ourselves as a profession. And of course, research is at the core of everything. And I think a lot of chiropractors don't realize or think about the importance of chiropractic research. Research drives everything. When you have the objective empirical data, we have great clinical based data. You and I both know that there are people who get chiropractic adjustments. I mentioned the mumps, right? There's no studies on mumps going away. I remember during the pandemic, I was like so excited because I knew in my heart and soul that chiropractic boosts the immune system, right? And I was like, gosh, we got to just shout this out across the world. And yet there was no double-blind study research, published research on chiropractic's effect on the immune system. And so there have been tremendous leaps and bounds in chiropractic research. And I give a shout out to my good friend, Heidi Havoc. And if you don't know Heidi's website or her information, or haven't had the chance to see her speak, she's a dynamic speaker. She spells her name Haavik, Heidi Havoc. And she is the premier researcher in the chiropractic profession and has done a tremendous amount of research on the impact of chiropractic on the brain. She does PET scans. She's out of New Zealand. She does PET scans. And if you know what a PET scan is, think of like a brightly colored MRI where the whole brain lights up and you get to see the activity of the brain. And they scan these people before their adjustment and after their adjustment. And what they find is that your prefrontal cortex, really important area, because that's the area that houses your executive function, how you are autonomous in the world, how you interrelate with other people. And in particular, forward head posture, forward flexion of the head, looking at your tech, which we're all doing too much now, actually turns that, dampens the signal from your frontal cortex. That's a big problem, a big issue, but a chiropractic adjuster, boom, lights that up and turns it on. You see that it's almost like a fireworks display going off. And so she's doing tremendous research on quality of life parameters.
Mhm.
We have tons of research, as you know, Kevin, back pain, neck pain, and headaches.
Yeah.
We got it, right? In
Mhm.
chiropractic, we got it. What we don't have, but where the research is now, are quality of life parameters, how it impacts quality of life, longevity, mobility, autonomy, right? All of the things that are very, very important. You know, they say movement is life, right?
Yeah.
So the more restricted you are as you get older, your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller until, in fact, you are no longer able to be autonomous. And we don't want that. That's not how you want to live a life. You want to live vibrantly, especially in the older years, right? Getting out and doing your shopping and being with your friends and doing the things that you deserve to do, right? So great research drives legislation.
Yeah.
That's your scope. And over the years, I've gotten to see chiropractic scope grow through different states. You know, there were some states, New Jersey, you couldn't even say drink 8 ounces of water a day. It was illegal for you to say that. In many states, it was illegal to adjust extremities. You couldn't adjust a wrist or an arm. So crazy. And there's still some kooky stuff like that out there that I hear, and it just amazes me. Washington say you can't do shockwave. I'm like, what the hell can't do shockwave? What? How did this do? When did we want to hurt anybody?
That's a sensitive subject for a couple in our mastermind group because a lot of us have shockwave and they're in Washington State. And they actually are on the border of Oregon. So we're like, just open up a shockwave clinic right in Oregon, only shockwave.
Like, what the heck, right? So there's all that kind of kooky stuff. But listen, no one ever gave anything to us as a profession. We've had to claw for it, fight for it, every single bit. They keep trying to get it, take it back. Some of your listeners may be aware of the Wilkes trial, and that was where the AMA got caught trying to eliminate us as a profession. They had the Council on Quackery, right?
Yep.
And they really did try to wipe us out, and we won. We actually won that. A lot of people don't know. Won that on appeal. We lost it, and we had to go back and appeal it, and we won that so that they cannot collude against us. Although listen, AMA has the copyright to the CPT and ICD codes. It's like copywriting the alphabet, for God's sakes, right? And we're writers, and the freaking alphabet is copywritten. And so there's still ways that stuff goes on. The legislator is not going to be able to pass legislation that impacts scope unless you have the research. That's what they're going to say. You're nice people, but show me the data. And now we can't. More and more and more. Great legislation, great relationships with the Capitol Hill, locally or federally, impacts reimbursement.
Yeah.
Bottom line, how you get paid. So it starts research, and then it moves to legislation scope, and then it moves to reimbursement. And so you can't miss one of those steps along the way in order to expect to have a strong and robust profession. And so that's what the Chiropractic Future Strategic Plan has been doing for the last, it's coming up on 5 years. We're in the 4th year of the plan. We're about to meet up in Boston next week at the Chiropractic Congress. We'll all get together and be able to strategize on the next 5 years coming up. So those are exciting times. I'll give you an example. I hear a lot about Medicare with chiropractors and what that was like back in 1976 for you and I were, in the game. We got accepted in federal benefits package of Medicare. Excuse me, the only profession defined by the what it is that we treat, the subluxation.
Yeah.
So there's, oncologist isn't by liver cancer or breast cancer or ovarian cancers, but it's the lesion that we treat, quote unquote lesion. Subluxation limits our scope under chiropractic. I happen to believe these are important things, like the word subluxation, like the word adjustment. It's important for us to own it and use it. Nobody else owns adjustment, right? That's ours. You're not going to see massage therapists, physical therapists, anybody else touch an adjustment, spinal manipulation, joint mobilization. Fine. Adjustment is ours. So don't be afraid of your vocabulary, right? Yet here we are pigeonholed as kind of physician, but not physician. We got into the system, but we can't get out, right? It's like the Roach Motel. They come in, but they can't get out, right? And so here we are stuck in this catch-22 that we can't adjust extremities. We can't get paid for our examinations, but we have to do them. We can't get paid for our therapies or exercise stretches that our patients need and deserve. And so there is a Medicare Modernization Act climbing Capitol Hill, has more sponsors than ever before, continues to gain literally hundreds of sponsors. And listen, like Medicare or not, I know many chiropractors, Medicare is a button. It would provide cultural authority. And that cultural authority is something that we are constantly fighting for. We've constantly had to fight that battle. Many healthcare providers, many medical physicians had no idea your educational background, that you're actually a doctor. And they think maybe it's something sort of you can take some coursework and whatnot, and you can be a chiropractor. So cultural authority is important. Patients deserve that. It's still the largest demographic, the boomers coming through. They paid all their careers for their Medicare, and they should be able to use it for chiropractic care. And so interesting times to see happening and changing up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I was kind of flow charting as you were talking here, and it's been pretty cool. And just to summarize, obviously with the chiropractic future and the 5-year plan, the the goal with this research-driven plan that's being developed, and obviously we're getting the research behind us, it's going to increase the legislation, and that's going to help us all the way to the Medicare. It's also going to help with probably, like you mentioned, cultural authority, which is going to increase utilization of what we're doing. Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do this search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. And what you mentioned, which I kind of took another step to it. If you have really strong cultural authority, then your perceived value goes up in the eyes of the beholder. And, obviously, if we were rewinded and it was 1998, insurance reimbursed a lot better, but we didn't really have a lot of cultural authority back then. And if reimbursement of insurance didn't happen, a lot of chiropractors would have a hard time. Hopefully, as we increase our cultural authority, it offsets a little bit of the current insurance reimbursement situations where we can, with that cultural authority, be able to charge more for our cash services or have cash paying patients willing to pay us appropriately. Maybe the insurance aren't, but the people are. And then, you have I'd like to get your opinion on this. And I do want to go back to the Medicare thing, but I want to stay on track here for myself. and get your thoughts on it is that, obviously, a lot of chiropractors are considering add-on services. It's something you're seeing right now in the profession really that is in a good place is that whether the practice is in network with insurances or they're not, but let's just take the insurance-based practice because
Mhm.
they can extrapolate out. But if you're insurance-based practice, are you seeing a lot of the best practices having add-on services? You mentioned shockwave, or it's decompression, or it's other types of therapies, and they're able to offset that insurance reimbursement problem?
Yeah, I think here's the thing. It's really important is that technology is absolutely an important component of practice.
Hmm.
Um, it, shiniest objects, the coolest toys will not replace the importance of the chiropractic adjustment.
Yes.
And I want people to understand that that's your uniqueness,
Yeah.
right? What makes you unique as a profession is that nobody else does that. And if you focus on the other things, which are ancillary to that, which are supportive of that, at the risk of not really mastering your craft. And there's a generation of chiropractors uh, that are struggling with learning how to give a great chiropractic adjustment. And I think that that's super important. You should constantly be polishing those skills, constantly work on those skills so that you can find, locate a subluxation and correct a subluxation. That's number one. That's going to produce the outcomes. Expanding beyond that, there are tremendous tools. We're seeing things now in remote therapy monitoring, where we're able to increase patient compliance by touching bases with them on an app and seeing that they're actually doing the home care and eating right and doing the things that we want them to do and be reimbursed by insurance for that. There are some great technologies. We mentioned shockwave, right? And essentially, that's stimulating the healing process. It goes in, dissipates the tissue, you release growth factors, you stimulate stem cell turnover and healing. And so these are chronic conditions that we didn't have the technology years ago, or if we did, they were typically manual technologies like Graston and ART that really beat up. They're great tools, but they beat up the chiropractor. And so you've seen chiropractors with shot
Yeah.
saddle joints in their
I'm
thumbs, right? That's
I'm
because
a
they,
20-year ART certified doc.
and so how cool to be able to do a shockwave laser. Listen, so much research in mitochondria and photobiomodulation is essentially turning on the mitochondria, producing energy that's required for healing. And the amazing things that we can do, even combo there.
Yeah.
Spinal decompression, fantastic. There are things we can do with neuropathy patients. Many, many things that we can do that are cash pay, support the patients. I am huge, Kevin, into peptide therapies.
Mm.
And many chiropractors don't know that peptides, some of the most popular peptides, are actually available in iontophoresis patches. So they don't require injection, which we can't do in most states as chiropractors, but they're a patch that goes on the forearm, has a tiny little micro battery inside there that drives the peptides across the skin. And things like NAD plus that you hear so much about, again, driving energy in the mitochondria, moves the Krebs cycle, right? ADP to ATP requires NAD plus as a coenzyme. BPC 157, the Wolverine peptide that helps healing after Hugh Jackman in the movies gets all shot up and cut and bounces right back. So there are lots of cool areas in science that are really moving ahead in chiropractic that allow us to be really truly looking at whole being health. And that's one of the things as chiropractors, we've always been whole being. We don't look at somebody coming in, they're a back or they're a neck or they're a headache, but their whole being.
Yeah.
And that's a really important concept. Um, and again, Dr. Sherry McAllister kind of captured that term whole being care in her book, Adjusted Reality, that's out now, is a really amazing thing that, again, is differentiating factor for us. Um, but we'll get into talk about multidisciplinary practice in a bit,
Yeah.
how we're now collaborating more than ever before with some of the new regenerative anti-aging types of therapies that are out there. But it's a great, again, a great time to be in chiropractic.
Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org.
It kind of blends what we talked about before research, whether it's research in the adjustment or if it's research in some of these other technologies and therapies and treatments that are proving its worth and our expanded scope that we've developed that you mentioned earlier, which you're excited about. And within that expanded scope, we're able to do a lot of these things. Now, there's always going to be a barrier to our scope, and that's fine, right? And then so within that barrier of scope, you can collaborate, which you just mentioned, and have a multidisciplinary. What are some of the things you're seeing there where chiropractors are able to obviously stay within their scope
Mhm.
and then do certain things that might be without the scope by bringing in different collaborators and partnerships within that? You seeing a lot of that now?
Yeah, I'm all for staying within our scope again.
Yeah.
But our scope is what we do best, and that's connect the brain and the body, remove interference, and that's an awesome thing to be able to do. So I'm really cool with that. I really like expanding who we can serve by collaborating with others. So I personally don't have a desire to inject joints and do any of that. I prefer to stick within my scope, but adding to a chiropractic practice that at its heart and soul has that health from within, whole being team approach to care is amazing. So you can bring on your team a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant and have them, do some of these regenerative procedures like platelet-rich plasma therapy, PRP. You draw the patient's blood, spin down the platelets, and inject those into a joint or a torn ligament area of low blood supply, and actually have the body regenerate. Great, amazing procedures that can be done where we can not only stop but reverse osteoarthritis. Years back, it was you'd show patients their X-rays, you'd place them on the X-ray, say, "Listen, you're in stage 3. Once you get to stage 4, there's not much that I can do," right?
Mhm.
And now we're actually able to stop and reverse using some of these great technologies that are out there. So I love peptides. I love PRP. A2M, a lot of people don't know about alpha 2 macroglobulin, and that's
Mhm.
used for chronic osteoarthritis. The way the body repairs and cleans up inflammation and areas of damage is through proteolytic enzymes.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, what happens is over time in a chronically arthritic joint, those proteolytic enzymes get trapped in there
Yeah.
and they got nothing else to eat except for your nice cartilage that's left. And they chow down on that until it's worn out. And A2M, just like platelets, circulate in your blood. We draw the blood, filter that out. inject that into the joint, and it binds with the proteolytic enzymes and stops the chemical reaction inside of the joint. That's a big deal. Then you can do other therapies like a PRP or a Wharton's jelly, stem cell allograft, something like that, that actually do regenerate the chondrocytes, the cartilage tissue inside the joints. Ozone therapy, I'm huge on ozone. Ozone's O3, right? You would never inject O2 into anybody, you'd stroke them out. But O3 injected into joints literally mimics new blood supply. And so we use ozone for everything from trigger point therapies to every joint injection we do, anything where you want more oxygen to promote healing. So those are all really great cash pay services, right? These are not insurance reimbursed services that are game changers, because the end of that railway track is a knee replacement or joint replacement. And we know once they go in and replace the joint, it's never the same, right?
Yeah. And,
So-
and I want to touch on something there too, because you mentioned, like, the cash pay services. And I think the chiropractor needs to have some conviction around what services they really are seeing results in and having, and then be okay with having, someone in the business having a money discussion with the patient. I mean, it seems like every doctor now, and whether it's the MD, the dermatologist, all of them now are having to do add-on services, and you want to make sure you're offering ethical add-on services. But it's not just chiropractors now. It's like, unless you're like a plastic surgeon or a brain surgeon, like everybody is struggling with reimbursement, and a lot of the ones that are doing well are finding these types of ethical therapies and treatments that help their patients, and then getting over the fact that we now don't have a reimbursement model for that, but the patient is willing to pay for that. And
Yeah.
and that's how you're going to get them better in supplements, like you said, to what you do as your core service as a chiropractor. And then you won't be, dying on the vine.
Well, health insurance is there in place for when something breaks.
Yeah.
It is not there to keep you healthy. So I like to say to people, you probably have insurance on your car. If you want to put new tires on the car, insurance is not going to pay for your new tires or a tank of gas. Crash up your car, it needs to get fixed, insurance is going to be used. So it's kind of the same thing in health. It's there if something breaks. But in terms of keeping you healthy, preventing illness, it was never designed for that. It simply it is not, just demographic wise, the people there, could not support the people that are there. Now, I'm not saying that there are not tremendous inefficiencies, inequalities in insurance reimbursement, and that fair and equitable insurance reimbursement should be a goal of our profession always, and access as well. But getting patients to understand that insurance has its place, but above and beyond that, you're investing in your health, in your life. The most important thing. You ask anyone, what's your most valuable thing? They're not going to say their car. They're going to say it's their health. If you don't have your health, then nothing else matters, right? And so people are willing, if you have certainty, and that's kind of where you were going, that you're giving them the right thing at a fair price, that is something that is going to support and help them, something that you would recommend to your wife or your mom or your sister or your brother, right? Because it's the right thing for them to do. And you've done the studies and training and know how to appropriately apply that. Absolutely feel great about charging it. I guarantee you, go spend one day in the hospital and see what the bill is for that.
Yeah.
Right?
The
Probably
litmus
gonna
test I always like is that, okay, if you have a service, if I just named a service, Shockwave, and your mom, sister, dad, brother had something would you want them to come into your practice, use a shockwave for that? And a lot of times, like, okay, yeah, for sure.
In a
Because
minute, right?
you
Yep.
took the money, you took the money out of it, right? If you would
Mhm.
have said yes to that, but then you struggle with recommending it to patients who need it, it's literally because you just have put the money into it, into the
Yep.
buying decision for them, and you're doing
Mhm.
them a
Yep.
disservice. And so that's the thing is like, if you would want your significant other, whoever, to utilize that, taking the money out of it, then you should
Yes.
feel great about offering it to your patients. And there has to be a money component to it. And you just got to get over that.
Yeah. And, I agree completely that, being able to have those conversations for many folks is uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? And you know how you get over it? Practice.
Hmm.
And really, look at yourself in the mirror and say it and video yourself until you get comfortable with, okay, I'm giving them the very best service at the very best price that is going to really produce the outcome that I want for them. Um, then I can feel really good. I did my job.
Yeah.
My job was to prepare, diagnose, recommend. My job is not necessarily to be the bank, right?
I love it.
Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. When you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast.
I wanted to kind of wrap up with one of the questions, and you've kind of answered it, but the question is, what are you excited about in the next 5 years? It definitely sounds like research, definitely sounds like a lot of technologies. Are you seeing, I kind of lead you on this question a little bit. Are you excited about this whole field of longevity and health span that we're seeing and how maybe we as chiropractors can play a big role in that?
Very much so. We are really, I've always said we play a central and unique role in healthcare.
Hmm.
And it's being recognized now at many, many, many levels, where you're being able to see that not only individual patients, employers are having chiropractors come in and
Yeah.
have wellness centers on site for their patients. You're really seeing the rest of the healthcare environment understand we're not an alternative. We are a super, super important and unique component. And there are things that they do well and things that we really do well. And when we play together, the outcome is the best for patients, right? And so I see that trend of collaboration continuing. The younger generation of medical providers coming out of school, they don't have all the baggage that the older guys had. That they have this big chip on their shoulder, that they're the big MDs. We took their opioids away, and that was a big crutch. for them, for just the stuff that, like I say, is pretty much a party trick. That back pain, neck pain, headaches, that's a party trick for chiropractic. Health and longevity, that's our real wheelhouse, right? That you're staying flexible and mobile and active. They don't have stuff for that, right? And so referring to us, cross-referring is tremendous, really important.
Yeah, I love it. We even put together, a big document with some other chiropractors on certain things. Like we'd find research on, obviously big toe strength and prevention of falls and how that can increase longevity and what can you do to improve that, foot dysfunction or, rehab on that, grip strength, obviously spinal health things. And the spinal health is a huge marker of someone not living a good health span.
Oh my gosh.
And then it just goes from there, obviously, which is exciting and something I'm trying to keep up with as much as I can too.
Very cool.
Well, Mark, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. How can chiropractors find out more about what you've got going on and what you're doing and how you're helping out the profession and chiropractors?
Well, great. So I'm going to invite you to visit me on my website called mybreakthrough.com, BREAKTHROUGH, mybreakthrough.com. Lots of information that's there. Cool thing is having an unusual name like my last name, Sanna. There's not a lot of Mark Sannas out there in the world, so you can always Google me and find me. I come up on the top, which is cool. I'm going to ask you, though, as well, please take a look over at the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress website, f4cp.org. There's a great Find a Doctor list there. Make sure you're on it. Literally, thousands of patients every single month are hitting that and searching for chiropractors where you are. Check out the new book, Adjusted Reality, on Amazon.com. I recommend doing a reading club with your staff. Everybody read a chapter a week and discuss it. That's a really great thing for you to do. And then check out the Chiropractic Future website as well. And you'll see the great opportunities for you to volunteer as well. As chiropractors, the only way we're going to actually see these changes through that we've discussed is together. One of us alone, we can't do it. The hill, the mountain is too big. But when we come together in an organization like that, we can make a huge difference. And there's literally hundreds of volunteers, researchers, government relations, technology, that's going on is really amazing. So if you have an interest and you want to give back, just put in Chiropractic Future Strategic Plan and check out what's available. Volunteer, come sit on a committee. We'd love to have you.
Perfect. Well, I'll put all that in the show notes, and I really appreciate what you're doing to move the profession forward and what you've done over the years as well.
Thank you, Kevin, so much. I appreciate you very much.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.